Hello, everyone. So today we got to play Orleans. So it is a bag building game, and essentially, what is the theme?
It's, I think, 1700s France, something like that.
Oh yeah, I got
It's
that.
definitely France. I'll give you that. I'm not sure what
And
century.
you're basically going around France collecting resources so that you can get better workers and get victory
It's
points.
generically the medieval France.
Medieval France.
Not you're trying to achieve dominance in various areas of medieval France. You will get goods, coins, and victory points via production, trade, development, and by committing to the common good. That's all the story.
That's the thing.
That's the thing. All right. So let's break out into quality of pieces. Oh, so we did forget to mention this is two expansions are in
Invasion
the invasion
and trade and intrigue.
And we also forgot to mention we have a guest visitor. That's Will.
I will.
So
And the designer is Rainier Stockhausen. Artist is Clemens Franz. And it got a BGG rating of 8.1 for the base game. It's like 8.6 for the deluxeified version, which is what this one is.
okay.
And both of the expansions we used, the Trade and Intrigue and the Invasion, was like 8.5. So it's a pretty well regarded game.
Yeah. So quality of pieces. So you have a lot of wooden. You have wooden goods. You have wooden buildings.
You got
Wooden
Pac-Man.
vehicles. That's cheese.
Waka, waka,
Pac-Man.
waka, waka, waka.
So you have a lot of wooden pieces as well as board. The expansion adds cards.
Yes, and again, this is the deluxe version. The standard retail is all cardboard.
Yeah. So deluxe it is. So what do we give it for a rating? I mean, there's nothing really truly interesting about these pieces. I don't think. I mean, but they are the goods and stuff are in the shape of.
In 2015, when the deluxe version came out, I was really impressed with the components because I didn't have a whole lot of games that had real, I wouldn't say realistic looking tokens, but they're obviously better than just cubes. So stuff
Yeah,
that was
that's true.
shaped better, and even though Randy hates stickers,
Yeah, that's but don't steal my thunder. I really
no, I could
I'm
totally
still
steal your
totally
thunder.
attacking
I'm
this
American.
one
I do what I want. And but the followers that you get all have individual artwork from the stickers that you put on there. So
4 sheets of stickers, full box size sheets. Very frustrating.
I liked it. So I think that I like the component quality. The cardboard's good stock. The pieces, the components are
So give it a score.
I'm going to give it a 8.
Okay. All right. Will, do you have any comments about the pieces?
What was that?
I don't know. I'm tired.
I mean, the only thing to add is the coins are pretty nice.
Yeah,
Oh, the
cool.
coins
They
are
do
really
feel like
nice. I
real
forgot about
coins,
those.
You know?
Those are really nice coins. What do you got, Randy?
I'm giving it very low because of the stickers mainly. First of all, I'm not
Stickers
impressed with
so bad.
the wood colors are just red,
I
blue,
hate to
green,
imagine
yellow.
what stickers were like in Randy's life as a kid.
I hate stickers. I don't like a project. When I get a game out, it should be, especially if they're going to call it a deluxeified game. And that's my big beef with Tasty Minstrel. They call it a deluxeified game. It should be screen printed when you get it. It should not be stickers. And I went rounds and rounds with them. That's why I stopped supporting them on Kickstarter, is this very reason. I wrote them and complained about this numerous times, and every time they did a deluxeified version, they kept putting stickers in the box. And like, it's not deluxe if you have to
So
assemble it.
Randy doesn't like stickers.
I don't. They don't belong in a game. I
Give
mean,
it a score.
the coins are the only thing that pulls it up above a 5. I'm going to give it a 6. I'll give it a 6.5 because the coins are really good.
Okay. I think that the coins, I did forget about the coins when we were talking about the component pieces. And I do think overall as well. So I'm going to give this a 7.
What do you think? Out of 10.
I would say 7 too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Room for improvement, but they're pretty good.
Yeah. So moving on to theme. Obviously, I had no clue what the theme was. Which lately has been a common theme. I really need to work on this.
But it's a pasted on theme. I mean, it's pretty thin. It could be anything. It's city.
You can almost say it's like a sticker.
But it's very light with the theme, so there's not a whole lot to it. Nothing thematically pushes the mechanics. So thematically, I mean, I would give it a 6.
Yeah, I think for me, yeah,
It's light.
it's a 6 is fine. And the artwork, there's nothing too impressive about the artwork either.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I think a 6 is good here.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets a 6, I'll give it a 6. It's there's absolutely nothing to make this feel like France apart from the names being French.
Right.
Well, and from my standpoint, that's actually kind of distracting. Like,
'Cause you
someone
can't-
that doesn't know French, it's difficult
Yeah.
trying to communicate where we're at or where we need to
Yeah.
go.
Also, point out the names on the board are so tiny in the
It's-
cities.
Absolutely.
When you're
It's
the
very
only thing that
difficult.
was easy to make the cards, the bonus cards,
did a
be
map
tiny,
location
they
on
did
it.
a map on the background with the name on it. Otherwise, you'd be searching that whole board trying to find every city, unless you were an expert on France and assuming
Yeah.
the map is geographically accurate.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, it felt like you needed a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
It was tiny.
It
so.
was pretty bad. So okay, then let's move on to rules. How was the Rob? You read the rules.
I did
before,
read the rules. I think the rules are actually really well laid out.
I'll give you credit. Give him credit on that. The rule book is really well done. It's got pictures of everything. The complaint I always have about the iCards and such, they actually put the tiles in there, so they did that the way it really is best. The rule book itself for the base game is really pretty well done. The cover's kind of meh.
Yeah.
It's like they took the cover off and just had the contents right on the cover, but it's okay.
But again,
The bonus or the expansions, however, centerfold again. I don't know if I can show this if it might have been edited for younger
a little
audiences.
risque.
But don't like those. I had to flip through it and like, oh wait a minute, oh this unfolds. But no, it's just odd.
the layout
Especially
is
if you're going to
still-
have your main book game one way, why would you change it for the expansion? But whatever. I'll give it an 8.
I agree. I think an 8 is good. It's well laid out. My criticism that I wouldn't have given it a 9 is that they didn't really do a good cheat sheet. I mean, they got these little bitty, again, tiny font little cardboard token that gives you some victory point references for resources as well as your turn order, but it's not real
we-
useful.
So I feel like they expected you to have a magnifying glass
Yeah.
or a reading glass.
It's
or
just not
something.
useful.
Yeah, we had
What's
to
the
do.
point?
Yeah, I mean, we had to do a lookup of almost every one of the like event cards, tiles, and we had to look up all the buildings that you can produce in it. So I mean, it definitely a cheat sheet would have been very useful. You'd have to make probably one for each expansion, given
True,
the fact that
because they add more to it. But
yeah,
I would have gave it a 9 if they would have done a good cheat sheet. So that's why I'm giving it an 8. And you didn't really read the rules, but as we were explaining it though, did you get a good sense of what to do? Because you picked up on it pretty damn quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that is somewhat convoluted is just the ordering of the turns.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, it's straightforward, but there are a couple actions, not the actions of the game, but actions that you take as a player that getting the ordering right gets confusing at times. Like, for example, being able to have the open slot, if you could have gained that piece to then do the action. Getting that ordering right was confusing at first.
Yeah. So on to gameplay.
That'd be next.
All right, gameplay.
Well, first of all, this is I would say this is a light medium game. It's not really difficult to learn as far as the complexity of it.
But I think adding in the expansions, I think it does add a little bit more to it.
Push it to more of a medium.
Yeah, I think it's more to a medium.
Yeah, I mean, so definitely base game, light to medium. So if you got some lighter players, definitely start with the base game first.
Absolutely.
But then adding the expansion wasn't that difficult to add the different
And
like to it.
and mostly with expansions, we mostly use stuff from trade and intrigue. We use very little from invasion. Invasion is kind of like what a lot of modern board games are doing. They have modules of expansions, so you can pick what to add. And the big thing it adds is it turns into a co-op game, and it's a completely different game at that
And
point.
we haven't played that.
We didn't
so,
play that.
So with this game, again, everyone starts here in the center of the board in Orleans, and you can eventually travel out, and as you travel, you'll gain resources, have the opportunity to build little stations or houses, as well as you'll try to gain workers. So this track typically has a bunch of different workers that you can get from actions on the board. And then there's also a track down here for scriptorium, which is basically your knowledge. Yeah,
What's your
in-game
multiplier
score,
for your scoring?
yeah.
in-game?
But thematically it's knowledge, right? Because it's a symbol for a book. And typically has to do with the university and monastery and that kind of thing.
And then we got the top board here. It's called the benefits. And so, I mean, basically, you're doing these two parts to get to a point where you can start sending the followers up here to get not just benefits, but hopefully more additional citizens to get a better score.
And also to help control your bag. 'Cause
Yes,
you're trying to get
absolutely.
tokens.
It helps clean it out.
Right, as you acquire tokens during the game, your bag is going to become unbalanced after a while. It's almost like when you reset your 401k, so that your balance is kept.
Well, it's similar to a deck building game. You're getting rid of the tokens that you don't use as much or don't need anymore.
The only difference is you can't get rid of your starting tokens
Right.
in this. In a deck builder, typically you trash your starting hand.
Yeah, so you
You
have
can't
four.
do
You
that.
have four followers that you start with, one of each color, the basic colors, and you're stuck with them for the entire game. There's no way to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So, but I really like this game. I think it's a lot of fun. I like the kind of hybridization of deck building with action selection, almost like a worker placement. I really like that aspect of it. I like the event deck where you really don't know what's going to happen the next turn. It's got a lot of strategy behind it, and it's just fun. I really enjoy playing it.
I will say this, I had a lot more fun with the expansion than I did the original game. Even though, like, when we played the original, like, I won, this time I didn't. In fact, I was fairly far behind, but I still enjoyed it more because of this board being changed up, I think, was a huge
So that's one of the big changes, is that the old benefits board, to Randy's point, is that you're getting a minor benefit, but once it gets almost filled up, someone can swoop in and get a major benefit. And it's kind of like you're leading up someone else to be able to get that benefit when you don't get a benefit.
If you've ever played Mario Party, this is what it dawned on me afterwards why I didn't like that board and the first time we played. There's a mini game in Mario Party. This may be an obscure reference for some people that you would go to, and I think it's an old classic game too, where there's a set number of items. Like say there's 12 items coming down the conveyor, and you get to take one or two items, and then you go to the back of the line, and it's really just a matter of turn order who's going to win that. Because if you choose one or two, then you're going to get stuck with ultimately being the last person and having to get knocked out. Same concept that this board had. That you played so many, but then somebody else would come in, and you could play one or two tokens there. So it's the same exact concept, and somebody can just fill it up and take the bonus without you getting it. And the bonuses for playing like one tile was like a coin. It was almost nothing. This actually improved the bonuses for actually playing your tokens along the way. So some of them were actually better than the bonus you got for claiming it. So that helped a lot, because that was the big problem, because that board was so important, particularly on the first round of Go, because it gave you the in-game bonus scoring for every category, for everyone if you maxed it out. And your perks for playing onto it were almost nothing.
Right.
So it was very frustrating, but you almost had to do it because you had to purge tokens out of your bag, your bag balance.
So that was probably the base game. That was the major scoring mechanism, is getting citizens, building your guild halls so that you get the multiplier off of the scriptorium on the bottom, and you get some points. But the other expansion that we added was the trade and entry part, was these cards that looks at where you're at on the map, and if you have the right resources, you can cash those resources in and get some pretty big points. So I think that this is really a viable scoring method, not just scoring off of the scriptorium on the bottom.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. So, what do you think?
Neat. I liked it. I mean, it was complicated enough to keep you interested. I liked almost the puzzle aspect of ordering your actions and getting the correct people to maximize your plays per turn. But at the same time, it wasn't so complicated that if you've never played it before, you're completely lost.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
So
a nice middle ground to
You
keep your
didn't melt your
interest.
brain or anything.
Right.
Yep. So let's give it a score, guys.
Well, me first.
Sure.
I'm not nearly as generous as you are on this one. The first time we played, I did not like this game. I was very frustrated with that board. I didn't enjoy the aspects of it nearly as much as I did with the expansions. I would probably give it about a 5.5 for the base game. Once you added in the expansions, it gave more to do in the game, more variety, because one of the problems I had other than the board was everybody's actions are exactly the same. And it was all the luck of the draw and what pieces you got. And I had maxed out. I was like really high on the red, which is where you get to draw more tokens. But I kept getting horrible draws, and I couldn't trigger any of my actions that were of benefit. And it was a lot to do with the distribution of what tokens I had in my bag. But again, getting rid of those tokens wasn't benefiting me as much as it was benefiting other people. So it was like my bag just was awful the whole game. And as a result of that, I didn't do well. And I did not enjoy that aspect. I had a much better balanced bag this time. Now, it helped a lot that I got a building that gave me a wild for one of my tokens, which, I got capitalized on a lot. But I wasn't afraid to get rid of tokens with this board because I got benefits for it. Even if somebody got the better benefit of again being the last player on it, I still got a lot of perks along the way as opposed to a coin. So I think this was a huge improvement for it. So generally an expansion doesn't jump it up significantly. This one I think is going to go up 2 points. I'm going to give it a 7.5 with the expansion. But yeah, I would not play it without the expansion. So yes, I will be buying the expansions to make it playable because I only own the base game, and I would not want to play it without the expansion.
What would you give this for?
Man, you asked me first.
And would you give it 2 different scores? I mean, did you think that the base game was significantly different or just better with the expansion?
I think it is significantly different. There is a lot more to do in this game. Like, this is with the expansions, it is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think base game, I'd have probably given it probably a 7. But with the expansions, I definitely would give it like a high 8.5. Because I do think it brought a lot more to the game, and it definitely felt more of a complete game.
Right.
And that's where I would settle it.
And I agree with that. I would give it a high 8. Not quite to that 9.
It's not quite
but
that, no.
almost there. And it might be, although Randy is not a big fan of co-op, the co-op version might be fantastic. And I would like to try it at some point just to see how that feels. But I'd give this a high 8.
What do you think?
I'm in the same spot. I mean, somewhere between 8 and 9. I enjoyed it. It was fun, and I'm not a big board gamer, so someone not playing a lot of board games coming in, it was enjoyable. It kept your interest. The only moments that I found myself like even slightly not enjoying it as much is just when other people are taking longer, but that's just the nature of board games. It's just how it goes.
Yep.
Now, let's say that one of the things in the rules that I don't like that we didn't end up playing with this game is that you're supposed to play it, everyone taking their turns simultaneously.
I like
personally,
that.
I think that is a bad idea. Because if you don't pay attention to what somebody else is doing ahead of you, because you're playing your own board, you could end up getting your action that you were going to take taken before you, and there's absolutely no reason for that. If it says in the rules, if you have a concern, just say you don't want to do that, and then nobody plays by it, and you play sequentially because your actions are played sequentially. So why not plan sequentially? I mean,
So my thing is it speeds up the game so much by just doing it all at once. Now, I was fine with when we kind of modified it at the end, everyone plays, but then first player says I'm stuck, and then moving on that way. But for speeding up the game purposes, I absolutely agree. Cutting that downtime is so important in games because it keeps people interested and you don't get lost.
I would agree with your critique if they didn't give you that option.
Well, yeah.
But they did. So because they did, and that you can play either way, I don't see how I could really critique.
I'm just saying I would always play it where it's sequential because of the fact that there's so much that's riding upon what other people do in this game. If it were completely independent, fine, but it's not. I mean, every action you take is very dependent upon what the other people are going to do before you.
It matters more and more at the end game than it does at the beginning game. And I think that's the thing is towards the end, slowing it down a little bit, that's fine. But in the beginning, just run with it. Like, I don't know.
I like it either way. So.
Yeah, I do too. All right, any other comments, guys?
No.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really had a great time hanging out with you tonight, and hopefully you enjoyed.
Thanks for joining us, Will.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks for building my shelving so I can store more games.
No problem.
So if you guys want to join us again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We would love to have you at our table again. So again, thank you guys.
Bye.